Started right.
This guy look familiar.
Islam. Peace and Hotep. Gonna start off today. We got yo sorry, yo Jay. Jay. You can whisper a bit. You can whisper a bit. Peace, Hotep. We're gonna start off today. We got a plug. Nile Valley Books. So if you're in the Toronto area, Nile Valley Books is 1921 Gerard Street East at Woodbine Avenue. Right, 921 Gerard Street East, Woodbine Avenue. And the phone number is 647-802-6039. 647-802-6039. The reason why we're plugging Nile Valley Books because the brother's here today and he brought my orders, so you can actually order books from him. The first book that I ordered is Superman to Man, From Superman to Man by J. Rogers. There it is right there. And then the second book that I didn't order that he just brought today because apparently this book has just been re-released. It's The Return of the Ancient Ones. Right? Return of the Ancient Ones. You know, this isn't that little skinny pamphlet. This is the actual book by the Empress. All right? So make sure you go out, support ours. The topic of today, Moorish Costumes Ball. So we're going to start with that reading, or go into that reading right now, so we could get a perspective of where we're going with today's class. So enthusiastic was the reception of the costumes worn by the Moorish Americans during their parade that the members of the Moorish Science Temple have decided to have at different times what they will call a Moroccan costume ball. This affair will be had shortly after the holidays, about New Year's Eve. The Prophet consented that this could be for the entertainment of the members. Other groups of people in the city have been using the dress of our forefathers and imitating them, all but the olive hue they cannot get. During the Moorish convention, more than 1,500 Moroccan costumes were rented to Europeans who had seen the program and knew the Moors were to have a costume parade. But nevertheless, we were successful in obtaining through certain Asiatic costume dealers all the costumes we wanted. The Moorish costume ball will be among the first of such given, where an idea is put forth that has to do with the origin of the millions of people in this country who can trace their ancestors back to the illustrious founders of civilization. It will remind the descendants of these people of the time when their forefathers were the main people to spread the most progressive ideas of civilization. In fact, they saved civilization many times. When more barbaric tribes from the north were ravaging all countries, when more barbaric tribes from the north were ravaging all countries, they were permitted to enter. It was the forefathers of the Moorish Americans and their near kin that saved the historic records that were threatened during the days when the burning of libraries was a fad for despotic soldiers. This costume ball will be much looked for and appreciated. So what we're going to be addressing today is other groups of people in the city have been using the dress of our forefathers and imitating them. The difference with what we're dealing with today is that these imitators, these people who dress up like Moors and speak Moorish ideals, they actually have the olive hue, right? They have the olive hue. So we're sticking with the theme of the European is not our enemy. Our enemy is our own people. Our enemy is the people that choose to call themselves Negro, Black, and Colored. In calling themselves Negro, Black, and Colored, they cast themselves aside and become wards of the crown, wards of the state, wards of the president, wards of whoever's jurisdiction they fall under once they don't proclaim who they are. Now, there's a writing by Noble Drew Ali entitled Following Our Leaders. The thousands of Moorish Americans will follow their leaders, regardless of propaganda put forth by those who have designs to hinder them in the work for the advancement of their people. We will not stop to question the requisites, qualifications, nor anything else, so long as our leaders who have investigated and passed on the course of action which we feel is enough endorsement for us to act. We have long known that the first attempt to crush the leaders of any movement or organization is to plant dissension among the followers. Such will never be the case with the Moorish Americans, for when we have chosen our leaders, that within itself tells the world that we are going to follow them. All of the knocks and slams that come from anyone against our leaders will be ignored by us. Where they lead us, we will follow. So we got a letter from Brother Jabbar Gaines Eel, one of the heads, founders, inspirations of the Moorish Defense League. And this is just to put into perspective how many people know about Moors. And when you present yourself in proper person, when you present yourself that you are your ancient foremothers and forefathers of 2012 and beyond, there's a certain energy that you carry that people will be able to pick up on, right? So this is the brother's experience. I think this happened this weekend, right? Islam. Beginning all affairs with the holy name of our Father Allah, we are eternally grateful for his raising up, ordaining, and sending us a divine prophet in the personage of Noble Drew Ali. This particular communication will be a very brief one. It originally began as a private conversation between G.S. Kudro L. and myself. However, this faithful Moor thought it would be beneficial and uplifting for many others to hear. But before I share that personal dialogue between he and I, allow me to say this. The Moorish Divine and National Movement is a multifaceted and diversified mission. Although our civic redemption is at the forefront of our many goals, we do have other aspects and dynamics to this great work entrusted to us by our Holy Prophet. Our Holy Prophet gave us many divine warnings and holy instructions, two of which was one, for Moors to return to the ancient and divine mindset of your forefathers, and two, to always pursue knowledge and to secure a quality of education for ourselves. It is within this context that I would like to encourage all Moors to increase our knowledge and experience by diversifying our subject matters of study. The Moorish Divine and National Movement is the clear and only solution to the ills of humanity in this present era of time. The Moors are the lead custodians and protectors of the earth. This is a fact. With this being so, Moors must begin to present solutions to humanity's problems, such as environmental issues, economic security, nutritional sciences, etc. We must fulfill these needs of our nation first, and then present them to the whole of humanity. This is the divine activity of uplifting fallen humanity. Now I would like to share the story of an old Moor that taught me a lesson about Moorish civilization. It was so inspiring that I had to share it with Canaanland Moors. It was I, accompanied by another active Moor, walking through the shopping mall. The older Moor stopped me and said he had seen me on television promoting the Moorish movement and complimented me. I said thank you, and I said that I was out here just looking for material for my new turban. He immediately asked me if I knew the meaning of the feather. I asked him to enlighten me. He said it denoted executive rulership. He said the feather within the turban of a Moor was not common attire, as it has been during the past 500 years. But before that, it was exclusively donned by executive rulers, and it was a great reminder that our Prophet was and is our executive ruler. So I close by saying the Moorish movement promotes learning in all fields of study, and it always helps to listen and to learn from others in this divine work. Islam. May Allah continue to inspire active Moors. And that's Grand Governor Jabbar C. Gaines Ill, 260-241-4080. So keeping in mind that it's extremely important for Moors to be active. Now, activity, when we say active, not passive, right? Like the old Moor, the elder Moor told the brother, I saw you on TV talking about the Moorish movement, right? That's a level of activity. Just like he was saying that the idea of the Moorish movement and uplifting fallen humanity is multifaceted. So that's why we're going to plug Nile Valley Bookstores. Because Nile Valley Bookstore is an actual store that you could go to or you could call and you can order what you need as far as you coming out of this mental slavery that Noble Drew Ali told us that we have. And the brother saying to all Moors that we have to increase our knowledge and our experience. The experience is not going to happen if we don't have the knowledge. We need to have the knowledge in order to have the experience. Because if you don't have the knowledge, your experience is going to be tainted. So, example, you go somewhere, they give you a contract. And they say, sign here. And then you go in your pocket, pull out your stamp. You stamp your thing, all rights reserved, without prejudice, UCC, blah, blah. And then you sign over it. And then they take it and they say, you can't do that. Right? If you don't have knowledge of the protocol of learning to live within contracts, you would allow them that position that they just took by saying, fine, give me another one, and then doing it the right way. Opposed to having the knowledge and recognizing that if they don't want me to reserve my rights, why should I do business with them? And leave it alone. I don't care what they're offering. It could be the $5 million check for reparations. If you put reserve your rights and they say, no, we can't accept that, you don't need that $5 million. Because it is going to come back and get you because of your lack of knowledge, right? Now, when we talk about the diversity of the Moorish movement, right? We can go to the Moorish historical leaders, the Moorish leaders' historical message to America, right? We organized as the Moorish Temple of Science in the year 1925, and we were legally incorporated as a civic organization. So that's one facet, civics. Under the laws of the state of Illinois, November 29th, 1926, the name Moorish Holy Temple of Science was changed to Moorish Science Temple of America in accordance with the legal requirements of the Secretary of the State of Illinois. The object of our organization is to help in the great program of uplifting fallen humanity, to teach those things necessary to make our members better citizens. A national organization with a Rotarian complexion. So Rotarian complexion, that's another facet of the Moorish movement, right? And then there's a national facet. Then there's a divine facet, right? So in all these facets, we're supposed to be active. Being that Moors haven't done what they're supposed to do since 1913, these areas have been neglected. So, we're behind 100 years. Yeah, there's activity going on. Yeah, there's Moors doing certain things that, would give the appearance of progression, right? But that people's perspective is that that's not the nation. People's perspective is that's some individuals that are doing something, right? But what did Noble Drew Ali say? That the only way that we're going to get salvation is being connected to the Moorish Divine and National Movement. And the Moorish Divine and National Movement is the Moorish Temple of Science, the Moorish Science Temple, Old Canaanite Temple, and any organization that a member of one of those branches of the Moorish Divine and National Movement founds or establishes by putting the profit up front, not themselves, because they founded it. The pattern that you have with Moors and the Moorish Divine and National Movement is that Moors come into the movement and forget about being members of the temple because they went to this one temple over here and it seemed like church, so they just said forget the temple. When there's 50 other temples for them to go check, and they think that, all of them are one. But it's different facets. And you might not slot in the religious perspective. That might not be where you're at. You might be more Rotarian minded. You might be more humanitarian minded. So you want to go to the continent and, set up wells and water purification systems which are active things that Moors supposed to be doing, because irrigation, sanitation, all that stuff came from us when we were in Europe. So if the ancient foremothers and forefathers were doing that, then the people who are qualified today should be doing that. And there's people qualified to do that, but their problem is that they're Negro black colored, and they want to get recognition from the corporate body of their credentials, right? It's like brothers and sisters who have trades, right? And their trade is not being exercised amongst their people. First, if you go to the South Asians, North Asians, everybody else on the planet, every nation, they have people that are qualified from their nation first, right? So for example, there's a sister that I work with, right, from Pakistan. Her dad is a doctor in Pakistan. But when he comes to this democracy, he's a cab driver. And his qualifications as a doctor doesn't mean jack. Because he's in a foreign jurisdiction. When Pakistanis and Sri Lankans, Ceylonese, Hindustanis, all of them are Moors. They say that in their own records, that collectively we're known as Moors. Right? But then they come over here and they're this different name. But what they have is the ability to take everything that they made here and go back to where they came from. With everything that they made here as a taxi driver. Which when they take it back there, it's going to be quadruple or whatever. Right? So, all these areas, we need to be doing something in. Especially Moors who have the skill. And Moors who have the skill, meaning Negro, black, colored, who have the skill, but they call themselves Negro, black, colored, and they don't call themselves Moors. Like, them included. Right? But you can't do things under slave label. And that is our problem. That's been our problem. That's continued to be our problem. It was like I was talking with one of the brothers from BC, right? And his perspective is, I'm Israelite. I'm a Hebrew Israelite, right? And that's my lineage. I'm like, all right, cool. That's good. But you're Moors. You're not Hebrew Israelites. Right? You're a dark skin. If somebody was to assume you to be something, they're going to assume that you're black or a Negro or African. Okay? All those are Moors under the definition of Moor. A blackamoor is any dark-skinned person, especially an African Negro. Right? That's what a Moor is. People could make up stuff, say Moors are Arabs, Moors are this, Moors are that. That's your opinion. Cool. But we don't deal with opinions. Right? If the language that we're speaking is English, then we go to English dictionary, you look up Moor, and it's going to tell you a definition. They're not racist because black in the English dictionary says everything negative. Because that's what it is. Nothing personal. Right? So when we start being active and exercising what Noble Drew Ali brought us from a Rotarian perspective, things would begin to change. Things haven't changed because of what we're going to be getting into, right? This is why things haven't changed for the Moors, right? So this is a second letter. And remember, the theme is Moors Costume Ball, right? And the reason why we call the class today Moorish Costumes Ball is because other groups of people in the city have been using the dress of our forefathers and imitating them. Not everybody that has a fez or a turban or says Noble Drew Ali, 5 on the left, 2 on the right, this is our flag, that is in your favor. Especially when you see people making up stuff. Like Noble Drew Ali brought you something. He brought us a flag, for example, right? And then somebody's going to say, we are this group, and we cater to Moors, but their flag is something else, nothing to do with Noble Drew Ali, right? They don't use any of Noble Drew Ali's literature as far as having it in their presence when they're demonstrating their teaching, right? But they'll quote the hell out of Noble Drew Ali. They'll parrot stuff to you that you're violating this and you're violating that, and divine constitution says this and divine constitution says that. But then when they're on the street They're niggers. They're claiming that we have an organization to help our people. Right? So, I have an organization. You want to join? Yeah, sure, no problem. All right. Here's the info, here's the lessons. Cool. Right? You now belong to our club. Now that you belong to our club, we have an obligation to you. Whether they say Noble Drew Ali in front, whether they call themselves Moors, whether they call themselves Negro, Black, whatever. The person that's the member, the head has an obligation to serve that member. Right? Comes back to following our leaders. We have long known that the first attempt to crush the leaders of any movement or organization is to plant dissension among the followers. Such will never be the case with the Moorish Americans, for when we have chosen our leaders, that within itself tells the world that we are going to follow them. Now, if you're supposed to follow your leader, right, but you can't contact your leader to find out where you're supposed to be going, what's that leader doing for you? Right? But leeching off you. Using the member or the multitude of members to look like, we got it locked because we have 500,000 people that joined our website, that go to our university online. So, we're qualified, right? Moors, especially unconscious Moors who are coming into the movement, right, have to not just take stuff for granted, right? Just because something sounds good. That's why Noble Drew Ali said, study, study, study. Because you're supposed to study, 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 so you know, and if once you know, you're not going to get gamed, right? It's like we were talking with the brother about 3,500, right? 3,500 for nationality papers.
Where?
A brother emailed us.
Okay.
And said, I was watching your video about dirty Moors. And, it struck me because, what you were saying in there was that nationality is free. But these brothers are trying to charge me 3,500 for nationality papers. 3,500. And this is somebody who has a child and he has like a wife and, it's like 3,500 for nationality papers. That he has the money. It's not, that he's not well off or whatever. He has the money. He could pay the money. But something told him, hold on a second, let me just call these guys first and really see what's going on. All right? So, now, this is maybe this week now. We had another email. And this is an email from somebody who watches class. That said, I got this email, and then I have to share it. And same thing like Jabbar. I was like, you know what? We don't do it like that. If you have something, put it in letter form so we can put it on the record for the people. Right? Because we're not here to make friends. We're not here to beg friends from anybody. We're not here to try to push our own agenda. Like, our duty is uplifting fallen humanity. That's it. Our duty is to adhere to the principles that the Prophet laid down, because what Noble Drew Ali laid down is right and exact, because he's a prophet. He's not one of these leaders, black guys that, you know what I mean, we chase around, but to no end, right? Bless us. Okay, so we're gonna go in on this one. This one is about 3 pages. All right. So, Islam Moors. First, let me express my appreciation for not only the formation, but the publicizing of the Moorish Defense League. An encounter this past week with the misinformed, illustrated, the urgent need for such a forum to clarify not only who the Moors are, but what the Moorish Divine and National Movement is. I recently watched a YouTube post wherein the elder Taj Tariq Bey expounded on the importance of nationality and dangers of remaining stateless. One of the many comments on video stated that the Moors were just another branch of the sovereign citizens movement, that they would be going into the camps along with anyone else who might dare question the United States government. Recognizing the fear in this comment, I responded informing the poster of the list of the so-called dissidents that nowhere mentioned the Moorish Science Temple of America or Moors in general, and that with enough quiet thought, one would easily be able to figure out why black Muslims are listed and Moors weren't. His response was to first call me out of my name and then condemn the Moors for being the reason why so many of our people are going to jail. He went on to say that besides that, there was no proof that there was even any such thing as a Moor as defined by Prophet Noble Jew Ali, and that no one has ever escaped the clutches of the quote-unquote white man using a Moorish defense. I kindly let him know that those who plug and play purchase paperwork when their backs are against the wall, acknowledging their birthright only when it benefits them, are getting exactly what they deserve. Read that part again. I kindly let him know that those who plug and play purchased paperwork when their backs are against the wall, acknowledging their birthright only when it benefits them, are getting exactly what they deserve. This was followed with a suggestion that he research Abraham Lincoln Defends Black Bill for one example of a successful Moorish defense. To date, I've received no reply. The anger and confusion contained in this conversation is understandable, considering the plethora of conscious gangs out there taking advantage of their own people. Groups such as ISIS and ALF, aka Marrakesh Imperial Temple of America, and their numerous offshoots have served to severely handicap the mission of the Moors as appointed by the Prophet. These are not the statements of one operating off of hearsay, rather of one's person's experience as a real-time witness. As a former participant in ALI, I must admit that in the beginning their operations were nothing less than admirable. They were a clearinghouse for those Moors who had been burned by various sovereign and indigenous movements and were now bringing their lessons learned to a central location. This was likely the closest of any of us had come to an organized movement outside the temples, another source of contention for many of the participants. At its height, ALI boasts daily meetings through blog talks and Skype meetings, development of passports, currency, and uniting of Moors in various locations who gathered in person to realize the objectives of ALF. Then the bottom fell out, or perhaps wasn't there to begin with. The problems began when, after paying $100 or more to access paperwork, the leadership could not or would not apply stamps needed before the documents could be recorded, which at the end of the day didn't matter as much. The paperwork was not only incorrect, but the leadership provided faulty information as to how to file it. The fraud was revealed for all those to see when one of the leaders was apprehended by police and his cohorts were unsuccessful in numerous supposed attempts to free him. It should be mentioned that these same individuals were not present at this person's court hearing to offer support, let alone defend their paperwork. I was subsequently dismissed from participation in this group when I was apparently part of some controversy involving the one person's glaring absence at the aforementioned hearing. I am one of the opinion that the real reason was that I began to ask too many questions. such as why, if these Moors' paperwork was so miraculous, why was the number 2 in charge in jail for what is now 3 months? Why were they advocating expatriation out of and out renunciation? Expatriates are still citizens. Renunciants are not. I argued that establishing a Moorish imperial temple was an attempt to place the government above the temple. Being the only female in a meeting of 12 males, many concerns fell upon deaf ears, except for the occasional acknowledgement in the form of a suggestion to be more humble, submissive. I was asked to review and return documents I knew were incorrect, and when I again expressed concern, I was blocked from accessing the forum. However, this was not to be the end of my involvement in this fraud. Some months after my relationship ended, I received a call from another female who informed me that she was my replacement. Needless to say, I found it odd that the replacement would be calling me, but we were friendly and I asked how I could assist her. She at the time informed me of the developments of the MITA as it was now known. Apparently under the guise of efficiency, rather than have MITA members download and complete their own paperwork, they would instead complete an information form and a document giving MITA power of attorney to complete and submit the paperwork to quote-unquote secure their freedom. I was floored. These were intelligent people, some of them very well educated, and they had basically signed their life over to a face on a screen. One, it should be mentioned, was having quite a bit of trouble with law enforcement at the time and had done nothing at that point except collect money. Rather than scold her and these people for being so incredibly irresponsible, we scheduled a class to instruct them how to revoke the power of attorney. Looking back on the situation, I realized the power fear can have and the consequences letting it take hold. The response to Elder Taj's video was telling in that it revealed how this issue continues, and the movement to enslave our people appears to be more active than the movement to liberate them. Just this week, a call went out for assistance in Georgia to free a Moor carrying ISIS papers. Why did this message ask for any assistance? Because ISIS is not responding to pleas to defend their own documents. ISIS spawned ALI, who went on to do exactly the same. Payments for paperwork and literature were met with indignation for daring to question where the funds went. Now ALI has itself produced factions who continue to squeeze blood out of already drained notable examples of being one who offers credit and foreclosure services even though he lost his own home to foreclosure. Another was in the number 3 in charge, founding a virtual temple, declaring himself more superior than the Grand Sheikh in whose temple he proclaimed his nationality. In closing, I cannot express the importance of the mantra, man know thyself. These characters would have no power to commit their mischief if those who they defraud would only do their own research. When unclear, refer to the teachings of your prophet, and he will plainly show you the correct path. He even warns of the dangers of being a follower. In his prophecy, your own brother will try to enslave you. Nationality is free. This cannot be expressed strongly enough. Anyone telling you otherwise needs to be exposed and avoided at all costs. My one comfort is the knowledge that these shysters will eventually be called to task for the wrongs they have committed against a people who are not only already exploited by the entire planet, but who are of their own nation. Thank you for your consideration and interest. Peace, Sister Z. So it's a common theme today. It's a reoccurring nightmare that people want to be free. There's no question about that. But if nationality is what's going to make you free, and then nationality is free, all you have to do is just proclaim it out of your mouth. To have people go the length to defraud people for something that's free is traitors. It's treasonous. Because they're going against everything that Noble Drew Ali said. Because we're supposed to be uplifting fallen humanity. Not uplifting fallen humanity with service fees attached. And this is why there's, like Brother Jalani always talks about, a brick wall in the sand between active Moors, passive Moors, religious Moors, dirty Moors, nigger Moors, whatever. There's brick walls in between all those. Because many of those positions are encompassed in the national, divine, civic, active arena. Right? Just today, a brother called me today about, I need to get this letter because they're not letting me wear a head wrap. Right? Like the brother I met on the bus. He's not a member or nothing like that. Just a brother that seen on the bus. You know what I mean? He's like, yo, we seen each other before, but we never spoke. You know what I mean? It's a youth man. And he was just breaking down to me, like what he's dealing with, and you know what I'm saying? So he brought up the thing about, I feel like everybody's against me because they're not even going to let me wear my... I'm like, well, like you can say that that's your religion. And do that freely, And then immediately in his mind is, well, Christians don't wear nothing like that. And, Catholics don't wear nothing like that. And, like the only people that wear stuff like that is Rastas and Punjabis and people who wear turbans and stuff like that. Right? So in his mind, there was no connection for him to even use religion. Because he's saying that he's none of those. So how am I going to use religion to wear my turban if I'm not any religion that wears a turban? Right? But, that's when we were talking on the bus. And then, I gave him a card where I said, well, just link me if you need the letter still. Right? So he called me today. And he was showing me, okay, yeah, I want to get the letter. And I was showing him, well, all those religions are your religion. Like, you're all those. Don't think that, only African stuff is yours. Right? Asian stuff is yours too. And they wear turbans over there. And the God is, and then we were talking about the whole Sri Lankans, and they're not called black, but they're darker than you. You know what I mean? So how come, what's your problem? And just like, as a child, like Brother Moorish, before he even got on knowledge, you ask a child, what color are you? They'll tell you brown. And then we're gonna twist their mind, right, into accepting fraud. Just like these people that put up, the man behind the curtain, and everybody's looking in front of the curtain, and they're blown away because wow, you guys have university online and website and paperwork and YouTube videos, and they went to court, and oh my gosh, like this is, I'm gonna go join. Bam, right there you lose. Because nobody goes and joins anything without doing research about it first. Only an ignorant person is gonna just jump at something without checking it out. Before you go get a job, before you go to the interview, you're gonna check out that company. So when you go to the interview, you're gonna, you know what I mean? You have any questions? Yeah, you know, I was reading you guys, you know, what's this mean? And where this money come from? And, you know, just to show that you're interested in their company, right? But people don't go that route. And again, just like Sis was saying in the thing, we're not knocking it. We understand why people are, you know, rushing to try to get these things. You know what I mean? Try to be free. But you're not gonna go wrong if you go with the Prophet. Told you, your own brother's gonna put you back into slavery. But if you never heard that before, as soon as they say 3,500, you know, you're buying yourself some freedom. When you can't buy freedom. Either you're gonna be free or you're gonna be a slave. But you can't buy it. It's not something that you can get. So like we're saying, before you even go into joining something or whatever, do your research on it, right? So when Sis sent me the article, I just went online. I'm like, okay, well, let me just see what comes up, right? And then this is what come up with regard to the group that she's talking about.
And this is the AFI or AIF or something?
Marrakesh Society.
Okay.
Marrakesh Imperial.
Was that with the MTI and the MIT?
Right. MITI.
Which is do you know what that stands for? Or is
Aboriginal law firm. Aboriginal law firm, Marrakesh, aka Marrakesh Imperial Temple of America.
okay. Which was previously the AFI or something, right?
Right. ALF.
Which was what again?
Previously the Aboriginal law firm.
Okay, so go on.
Right.
So you Googled them?
Yeah. Marrakesh Society. Okay. I actually Googled Aboriginal law firm first, and nothing came up under that.
Okay.
Right. So then I went to
MTI.
And I went to Marrakesh, right. And then it came up Aboriginal law firm / Marrakesh.
Okay.
Right. So this is what came up. United States District Court, District of New Jersey. The opinion of the court was delivered by Jerome B. Simandl, United States District Judge. Marrakesh Society and Aboriginal law firm. Since, as noted supra, the allegations contained in the pleadings and applications signed by MK, KS, and Bay are paraphrased as claims raised by Marrakesh Society and styled to create an impression that the Aboriginal law firm represents the Marrakesh Society. The court begins its discussion by assessing the information released by Marrakesh Society and the Aboriginal law firm in the public domain. So they're trying to verify what these things are. Marrakesh Society and Aboriginal law firm. So what they did is that they went to the public domain, the internet, and went to the websites to see what,
courts.
Yeah,
okay.
Right, to see what this is all about, right? This is why it's extremely important that if you're gonna go, it's like Brother Taj says, if you're gonna go slap a lion in his mouth, you know, don't slap the lion with feather, right? Because, you know, regardless whether it's feather or whether you use your hand or whatever, how about just don't slap the lion? Don't get hype just because you found this knowledge and now you think that you know something, right? Because once you have that approach, that means that's your mentality. When we're not anti anything, we're not trying to stop anything, right? All we want to do is be ourselves. All we want to do is be left to be free to be who our ancient foremothers and forefathers were. We're not trying to get acknowledgement or get recognition or get something from some fraud calling themselves government. We don't need nothing from colored people. We just want them to, you know, chill. We're not in the category of Negro, black, colored, just like Sis said, you know, Black Bill. My client's not a Negro, he's a Moor. This is Abraham Lincoln. Oh yeah, by the way, go see that movie, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer or whatever.
Really?
Go see that movie right there.
Really?
Really. Saw
the
that this
one with-
weekend.
The one.
The new, it just came out maybe a month or something like that, 2 months ago or something.
Abraham Lincoln prior to him getting into politics.
Yeah. Right? But
Was that
it's
the
a-
one
it's
where
a- it's an interesting movie.
He's working with the vampire guy? Or no?
yeah. When he's working with the vampire guy, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where he goes to the plantation.
And there's
Right.
a scene in the movie where, where he says
Is that the
this.
one where he uses the axe?
No, oh yeah, when he uses the axe and all that, right,
The axe is his
right,
thing to fight back.
right, fight back, right.
I sort of saw. I mean, I was going to talk to you, but I sort of saw that as a. I mean, obviously, what I sort of realized is that I had this thought a few days ago that really, it's all about keeping. Since it's all about energy, it's all about keeping our energies focused.
Right. In
on
things
on certain things,
Right.
and certain beliefs, because it all depends on that.
right,
So these movies, unfortunately, because all of this energy has to be based on truth, that they sort of, but they can't tell you the truth.
they can't tell you the truth, but they'll make
What
up
they
a
can
story
do is they can sort of make up a story
and
sort of then have the
slide
vampires,
some
vampires representing
things that if you
right? And it's interesting.
Right.
His best friend is this
is a brother, right?
Is a brother who's looking for his emancipation.
Yeah, but again,
Right.
that's the same brother, that's the same Black Bill.
I don't. Maybe I'm missing the context.
No, his friend, right, was the one that when he was talking about, they're trying to put me back in slavery
Right,
and all this type
right,
of stuff
right,
because I'm free.
Right.
I'm a free man, but they're trying to put me in slavery,
Right,
and he's
right.
a brother.
Right.
What's he saying? That he's a Moor.
Of course, no.
Yeah.
None of that's
Right?
None of that's
Yeah.
lost
This is in the
on me.
movie?
This is in the movie.
Yeah. None of that's
He's calling himself a free man.
No,
Amongst slaves, like there's slaves all over the place. There's people doing slavery stuff, right? And then his perspective is, well, I grew up with Abraham Lincoln. This is my boy, right? And he knows that I'm free, so I'm just gonna chill with him, because he's making some
I watched
some
it like 3 or 4 times.
progress
He went
politically
because at that point I thought he was studying law. So
in order to help his friend
right,
who was they're trying to put back in slavery.
right,
And then he realized through the shop owner,
right.
He realized through the shop owner when the guy came to the store, the other politician,
Right.
that the guy told him, you should probably get into politics. You're
Well, I
quite
think,
sharp.
See, what's interesting is they don't focus in on a lot of that stuff.
Right,
And a lot of that
right.
stuff's probably important.
But see that's where it comes into what this is saying. Know thyself. That if you know the story about Abraham Lincoln and him being Melungeon and them putting him in Moorish clothes, trying to say that he's half breed, you know what I mean? He's mixed, so he doesn't even qualify. How you guys gonna let this nigger come and run the government?
Yeah, but what's interesting is you don't see any of his parents represented because they both are European in the movie, right? They both. So there must be some other aspect,
Right?
Though he does have a
Right.
Have
But remember, the same part with the axe.
Yeah.
When his same friend was getting beat,
Okay. Yeah,
right? When they were children.
Yeah.
And what happened? He went to defend his friend that was getting beat.
Yeah.
And what slave master said? You're gonna take it just like you're one of them.
Right.
And he started whipping him.
Yeah. And then the father.
Came over, and that's when the father was like, "Yo, you can't do that to my son or whatever because we're just like you." And the slave master's like, "I don't think you're just like us."
Well, and that's what I think, and
Right?
that's where I see. You see, that's where I think what happens is at the end of it, there always has to be a twist that separates the truth
from the
lie.
fiction, right?
And
Right.
it's in that gap there
Right.
that your brain breaks down
Right.
because he's a vampire.
Right.
The guy who
The guy who was helping him.
the guy who was beating the young.
Right, yeah.
And the guy who then beat Abraham, he was a vampire. He didn't know that.
He didn't know that at that time, right?
But then they put the vampire thing in there to have you wondering because they've worked with you on vampires before in other movies about how they can't be up in the day and all this kind of stuff.
And everybody's wearing glasses
But what's
and putting on their
and then what's
so they can
interesting
walk
though,
around in the daytime or
what's
whatever.
interesting is then they use silver, as you notice, as the one thing which,
that's gonna trample the vampire. right?
So-
which is really,
which is really true.
That's
because
legit.
really, that's what it is.
yeah, that's what's
Yeah.
gonna make the system fall. You know, putting our faith back into the real gold and silver, and not putting our faith in the
Yeah, you
fiat.
see, I think the movies are very important, but I started to wonder whether there's some more, whether
Yeah.
whether there's more almost. It's almost like it would be better to be studying, though I think they're giving you a lot. They have to be giving you all this.
Oh no,
information.
most definitely it's about studying, right?
Because I think
It is
these
about
things
studying.
see, what they've got you thinking is that there's a third set of people out there who are causing this problem.
Right.
Those people are the same people, like almost creating the movie. Those are the
Right.
vampires, right? But
Those-
they've got you convinced that there's some
That
other.
there's some other entity,
And
right?
if you notice, there's only one more that they have in the whole
In the
movie.
whole movie.
When the whole thing really,
Is about
right? And then I was listening to something else. I think it was maybe with your class. They were talking about his emancipation. Oh no, it was in the Taj video. It's funny how reading back, he was saying that what Abraham Lincoln was doing was he was emancipating the slave from the federal side of things
jurisdiction, yeah.
into the state side of things.
Right.
He was moving it from the
Right.
federal
Yeah.
into
Into
the
right.
body. So he
Right.
really wasn't.
Yeah.
I think he was making small steps.
But again, right? That was being done, right? In order for the slave themselves
Right.
to
To be able to then get out of
be
it.
able to get out of it.
Right.
But if they don't have the knowledge
Right.
that emancipation means transfer of ownership,
That's right.
so all I have to do now is do like what Harriet Tubman did. Oh, you don't want to be a slave? Okay, put on this suit.
Right. That's it.
And that's it. And you're free. Just put on this suit and walk off the
And
plantation.
you know what's interesting too, if you think about it as a parallel, the same thing was once you stepped into Canada,
Right,
there
exactly.
was no
It was
slavery,
right,
you were free.
That's not really true.
right.
That's not true.
There was slavery here,
Yeah.
but
no, I'm not denying that, but I'm
Yeah,
saying
but
in a
yeah,
certain way
yeah.
that, or at least the story gets
The
told.
way the
that
story-
it-
right,
So
right.
I'm saying that's twisted again.
Yeah.
I went to Owen Sound in Caravan weekend.
Right.
Owen Sound is the most northern part of the Underground Railroad.
Right.
yeah,
The earliest inhabitant of Owen Sound is a brother called Daddy Hall.
Mhm.
Daddy Hall was living around here,
Mhm.
right? He was born like near Windsor, and he was
oh,
living around.
you can just roll up the chair.
Yeah,
So-
I'm looking for that.
Oh, you're
photo
checking.
box.
Okay.
Yeah. So he was born around Windsor, and he was living around Toronto here, and he was captured by slavers in this Toronto here, brought back to the States somewhere,
Yeah,
and then he escaped on the Underground Railroad again and ended up
and
in
ended
Owen
up in
Sound.
Owen Sound.
So to move
Right.
further.
So I was like surprised. This is what I'm telling you. How everything is like hidden.
Yeah,
All these
Well,
layers,
actually-
layers,
yeah,
layers.
layers.
And
Yeah,
you know, you're
yeah.
probably more right about that too, because what they do is they got you convinced that somewhere there was some set of people, i.e., Canada,
Yeah,
which was
that's-
somehow trying to help out.
Yeah.
That's
When
what-
really, that,
Exactly.
It was-
when
right.
really that shit
Exactly.
wasn't happening at all.
That was my thing. I was like, oh, Harriet Tubman is free the slaves, and you come into Canada and you're going to be free.
yeah.
So how come you're going to be free here? And Daddy Hall gets kidnapped
Right.
here in
That's it.
Toronto.
Yeah.
Now let me tell you this. There's this other aspect too. This is what I realized. I'm gonna get the book. It's called Black Ice,
Right.
about Africans and hockey. This is what you said.
Yeah.
The Africans who were in Jamaica, who fought for their freedom,
Uh-huh.
right, was Ashanti Muslim,
Right.
right? When they defeated the Spanish, whatever, the English, they signed their treaty.
Right.
Even up to now in Jamaica, Maroons, so-called Maroons,
Right.
they don't follow Jamaican constitution.
Yeah.
They have their own,
They have their own.
constitution.
Right.
That's a separate nation.
Right.
Yeah.
Now check this
That's
out.
because Jamaica is part of the Commonwealth,
Right.
which makes it
Which makes it corporate.
right.
No, but this is what I'm saying.
Okay.
In Jamaica, everybody was under, as you will say, the niggers and the blacks were under the corporate structure.
Yeah.
Because your property, your property of the crown,
Right.
Right.
right?
Yeah. Word of the
When the
crown.
people, right, the Ashanti who fought them and defeated them, and they said, okay, one corporation signing an agreement with another
Corporation.
who's not playing, right?
Yeah.
Nani and them wasn't playing. They wasn't like, okay, we're gonna come and sign. They always, if you ever see pictures with them,
Yeah.
they always got their sword. They always got their
Right,
gun with
right.
them.
Yeah.
Right? They're not
Yeah.
playing.
Yeah.
It's not like,
That's
see, there's
good.
a thing in life.
Yeah.
The nigger is only the one who
inside.
feels he's a nigger.
Feels
yeah.
is that,
But
right.
once you're a nigger inside, he can see that.
Yeah,
So
right.
anyway, what happens is, so you know the story. They send them from Jamaica. They say we want to go back home. So they dump them in Nova Scotia and try to trick them. They say, this is not when we want to go back home.
Yeah.
In Black Ice, I heard it on the radio. The guy said, something happened in Nova Scotia. The Governor General, who's represented the Queen, right, calls the Colonel and says, I have to talk to you regarding so-and-so. What that shows is, because you're a sovereign man and a woman, you're a nation who stood up, who is standing up.
Yeah.
You get treated as an equal.
That's right.
The rest of the niggers, you will do what we tell you to do.
Right,
That's
right.
But the so-called Maroons from Jamaica, you have to call the Colonel and talk to the Colonel. Oh, we want to do so-and-so. Is that okay?
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is what I'm saying. It's because it's strange to me how during slavery, you have free Africans who are
Right.
walking around who are
Exactly.
owning slaves. We have to do research. Who are these people?
Yeah,
That's right.
How do they get that power?
yeah.
Right? And how does somebody know? And I don't know, white people knew that he's a free guy, you can't enslave him. How come?
Yeah.
But this Canada is very dangerous.
No, actually, you're completely. And you see that what coming out of my mouth, what you heard was the same misinformation that you're walking around thinking is truth.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So this Canada is very confusing.
Right.
Why you have
They're part of it.
Canada's the freedom of slavery and Underground Railroad, and you're capturing people in Toronto.
What it is to me, almost it seems, and what I've realized now, is it's just another blanket that they put on
Yeah.
the same corporate thing, but now it's sort of under the English rule, right? So it comes at a different angle.
Yeah.
Right? They've got everyone rushing here for something that's really not here, but it's really just our energies that they're looking to take, right?
You look at this environment here now.
Yeah.
As we sit down in 2012.
Yeah.
Anything that the West, so-called West, exports is is our creation.
That's right.
So why would I leave the West Indies
Right.
when you are taking billions of dollars
Right.
to make a resort in the land that I'm leaving,
Right.
and your people have to go and spend $5,000 a week
Right.
to go and live in the place that I don't want to live? We're brainwashed too.
Yeah.
Because when you go back home, you're going like, why would I leave this?
Yeah.
You're saying when you go back home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I go back home, it's like, why would I leave this?
Right.
Why did we leave and come out here?
Come out here. Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Because if you look at it, from Cuba all the way down, let's say to Guyana, all the resorts are foreign-owned resorts.
Yeah.
Right? If you go to a Sandals, you go to whatever, it's like 500 airfare, plus like 1,500.
Oh no, dude, it's $300 a day, like American, to go stay at these all-inclusive resorts.
That's what I'm saying.
So a week is $2,100. So.
And that's what I'm saying. And that's the reason I said 5,000. That's the money you're spending before you go down.
You even go there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you go down there, and it's more money you're
Well, actually,
spending.
what's interesting is what I've sensed is what they tried to do is they tried to take even more economy, because it used to be you would go down there and you were putting money into the
economy, right?
No,
That's not-
No, in a sense you were though, right? Because when I went down with my friends, we went to Jamaica, you stayed in a hotel, and then you were out in the community,
Yeah.
right?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Now what they've done is they've
They kind of
everything.
enclosed
Yeah,
you,
They
enclose you
put
into the
in
resort.
camp
Yeah, yeah.
Where you're now paying them,
That's
giving them all drink.
That's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm
Yeah.
getting at. But listen, but here's the point. I went to.
So they're really sorry, just to interrupt. They're really just renting the space.
That's-
Right,
But
right.
that's what I'm getting at.
Sorry,
So
go
what I'm saying,
on. Yeah, sorry.
even
Thank
if
you.
sometimes you leave.
Yeah.
Like if you go, I went to Europe once on a tour.
Yeah.
So when you go, the guy has a bus. You're out for the day,
Yeah.
and he takes you on a bus tour. Don't think I'm going to your restaurant or your boutique.
Right, right,
You're
right.
going-
When you go,
yeah,
yeah.
No,
You're
they're-
going
to
To
as a
the
matter of
place,
fact,
the contracted place with the
Ah,
tour.
ah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
because what happened was I did this thing about cruise lines, and what they said was, okay, so like you take a cruise to Alaska.
Mhm.
When they drop you off at the dock,
Mhm.
they said the whole street is owned by the tour company.
Yeah.
So every single business.
Mhm.
So you think you're out.
You
the
think you're in,
community.
yeah, you think, but they have like a radius
Yeah,
that
that they own everything.
right, right.
Probably even in the
Yeah.
West Indies where we go.
more so in the West Indies,
Oh,
because
So
yeah,
when you get, but let's say you go to Antigua, some sandals or whatever in
Yeah,
Antigua,
yeah.
and you come out. When you go wherever the tour bus brings you, because most of the time people are like, how they have this like, I'm scared to go among the natives.
Right.
But that's all another part of it too.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So I'm scared to go among the natives. So you have to book a tour with the same tour company,
That's
right? So it's like when you go, there's like, when I went, there's like 5 trips for the day.
Right.
Which one are you gonna go to,
Right.
right? So the guy takes you, you sign up for this one,
Yeah.
and the guy takes you on a bus, and you go to Midland and Lawrence, and then you go Popeyes,
Yeah.
this, that. They own the whole strip.
Yeah.
Then they take you to Niagara Falls.
Straight.
Takes you to Niagara Falls. He's
Yeah.
taking you to a restaurant in Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
And the gift shop, like there's a building in Niagara Falls. They own all of that. Basically, what it is, when you go, all of the money is just going to one person.
Of course it is.
The island,
No, it's a
Yeah.
very.
Right?
with Canada and slavery,
I know it's a wicked thing.
Yeah.
The thing is, but I'm surprised. Yeah, I mean, we could go on. I'm just surprised at how well they've been able to.
oh, you know what too? They might have it here. The hanging of Angelique. At the back, they have stuff, because this is how they said all of that stuff is getting exposed. This is why you gotta study.
Yeah.
So people tell you something, but you gotta study. In Toronto, here, that same Simcoe guy for Caravan of Weekend.
Yeah.
That's Emancipation Day
Um,
weekend. How they know there was slavery is, you go now, when people start to think more, you go say, okay, this is a rich guy. He died. Let's look and see what he's leaving in his will.
Yeah.
You're seeing it, I'm leaving my two negresses, Mabel
Right.
and Martha,
And Martha. Yeah.
right? And John and whatever.
Yeah.
And Martha's a good cook and whatever is a good
Wow.
ironer. So when you look Toronto here, they had slavery. When they said that they're stopping slavery was going
What's
on
going
here
on?
at the same time.
And you know what's
I
interesting
heard
too.
about Kingston. Wasn't Kingston like where all the penitentiaries are?
Mhm.
Kingston was once the capital of Canada, I believe.
Kingstown, probably. Sounds right,
And
right?
it's like I think it's a port city, so when the boats
Yeah, because
come,
coming down the St.
there's
Lawrence,
the St.
right?
Lawrence. The
Kingstown
St.
is
Lawrence is
and
right
the
there.
oldest
Yeah.
prison in Canada, I think
Is in King.
North
Yeah,
America.
it's in Kingston. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's how old, like
Yeah. That's how long they've
Yeah.
been running the fraud. Yeah.
No, but what else?
Yeah.
Oh, St. Lawrence Market.
Mhm.
Used to be a slave. My mother, she found, can't remember where I found it
Yeah.
out from, but St. Lawrence Market is where they used to trade the slaves.
Right.
Right.
Right down there.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So in the midst of that, how come there's a mythology of we're running away to Canada and we're going to be free?
Yeah. When slavery's alive
It's
and
at
well
the same
here.
time.
Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
was going on?
Yeah.
So, but also what I think is, sorry, just to interrupt, what I find is interesting, they've got us running back, in a sense, they've taken us from here, put us somewhere else, made that seem like that was our home, and then have us running back, in a sense, to home.
But again, a lot of like majority of what we go through is because we're not thinking for ourselves. Right?
At
Like
home.
like majority, like for example, like we're gonna say we're from the Caribbean and we came over here and went back over there when it's all one landmass.
And home is where you dwell in, your body.
Well, I agree,
That
but
too.
you know what? But I also think that I think that there was something that's very important to us. Sort of having, I sort of feel like our bodies are connected to our landmass, like from where our heritage comes from. Like,
Yeah.
You know, the very nutrients that come out of the ground.
Yeah.
I think that's part of us, and I think that by sort of shuffling us around, that's really caused us.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Is it really a shuffle? Because if for example,
No,
okay, for example, Trinidad, right?
Let's say but just for example, like sort of like I see you and your cousin,
Yeah.
right? And I'm like, you can tell there's a line.
Yeah.
Like some people see me and like, you have relatives somewhere else.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? And you
yeah.
realize that there may have actually been
Right.
this thing where they separated,
Yeah.
and you hear about these things where my
Right.
brother was taken.
Yeah.
You mean
Yeah.
there's Asians
sure.
and Sri Lankans
For
that
sure.
look like you all over the world.
Well, that's right.
Yeah.
So,
But again-
my point is though that there was a pocket probably where I was originally, maybe my people or my line,
Yeah.
that they sort of had to break up.
But even if
Not to say
they
it's
took you from
wherever,
wherever,
Kingston,
they took you from Kingston and put you in
Jamaica,
Jamaica,
right?
you're still in America.
I agree with all that.
If they take you from Africa
Right.
and they bring you to America,
I agree.
you're still in the Moroccan Empire. You're not outside. You're not right. But it's about if they're defining that they're taking us from this place called this into this place
else.
called this.
And
When we
to-
know that those two places have the same name, like here's Africa, and then over there's Africa.
And it was
So
all the same place.
it was all the same place,
Right.
right? But but again, it comes down to if man know thyself, the mantra.
Mm-hmm. And that's why some mans back in those days could walk around
Free.
and own stuff because knowledge is God.
Yeah.
If
So
you,
if
yeah,
you can't approach because certain mans they can't talk to certain people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right about that.
One
You're right.
sentence, like you could say a whole paragraph of thing, and a man that knows himself with one line will crush you, and you
Yeah.
will run back and say, "What?" So you tell everybody else, "Stay away from him." Man.
yeah, leave that guy. leave that boy.
How does the
alone.
governor general in the midst of
Yeah.
slavery,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
have like 500 people in Buxton,
Yeah,
and he got to do something, and he got to say, you know what, I got to talk to the brothers from Africa, call the colonel for me to talk to him, and the rest of them doing whatever,
yeah,
and the guys from Jamaica walking around like this, and nobody in touch with him.
yeah,
How
yeah,
does that go in the midst of slavery?
yeah.
They were nigga, you this, you that, you that. But
Yeah.
these guys who fought for themselves, right? Nobody, they're untouchable. The queen is humbling.
See that one?
You understand me?
Mhm.
How does that go?
Just called you, man. Good one. Just invoked you.
And diet has a key role to play because when you look at the kids, like I have a friend who has a son, and most of the food that they feed the son is from Ghana.
Yeah.
It's cultural food, and the kid is solid.
Yeah,
Now if
Yeah.
you take another kid, from the same public stock, and you feed him bologna, all this other crap,
yeah,
lightweight, flimsy.
Yeah.
straight.
Bro, do you know what they say? This is what they said. They said, I think it's a white woman too. She's saying, when you look at athletics, the people who excel the best is the people who are from that quote unquote West African stuff.
Yeah,
From like Togo to like like Togo, then you go Ghana, Nigeria,
Right,
Ivory
yeah,
Coast, whatever, all the way Benin, Guinea, all of those people.
Mhm.
And then when you see the food, you from Ghana,
Nigeria.
okay, kenke, right? Plantain fufu, yam fufu, curry, right? With the palm oil. You can't be no lightweight on that.
Yeah.
And then,
And it's heavy food.
just what I'm
Like some of
telling
this food, when you eat it, you have to rest.
you. Bro, let me tell you
Like
something.
rest. Give
Ask
your body
yeah. Give it to
digest
diet.
that.
Yeah, your body has to
So-
digest. Yeah.
Right. I've tried back home when people are eating food, yam, sweet potato, dashin, cassava, stew fish, stew chicken on top. When everybody eats,
Hungry already.
everybody do that.
Yeah,
It's not a joke. A Jamaican guy was saying he come home, right? And his wife, she where you cook honey, she cook rice. He go and he wash his foot. You know why? That rice can't hold him. He go and he wash his foot because when he done eat, he just gonna stay home. But if she cook real food now, yam, dashin, whatever, cornmeal dumpling, whole wheat dumpling, he could go out and he could drink rum. He could last whole night.
yeah, yeah.
But
Because he
right,
has something in
that's
it.
what I'm
Yeah, yeah,
men
yeah.
back home, you see a guy lift no weights. The guy like a hog.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is what I'm talking about. My brother's son, the little kid. I went to go pick him up. Like, yeah, yo, come here, kid. I'm like, oh, leave.
Heavy.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
You got the
But
weight
most
on
kids, you just scoop them up, you know. But hey,
right. So we're gonna stick on that one there, right? We're gonna stick on that
Hey,
one,
you know you can lift your chair up, eh? You
Yeah,
hold
I'm okay.
Yeah. right? We're gonna read an excerpt from a book. You could probably get it online. You have a book called "The Underground History of American Education" by John Taylor Gatto. So, the Underground History of American Education, John Taylor Gatto, Gatto. And this title, this chapter is called "The New Dumbness." Right. So we start with a quote by George Orwell. Whoever controls the image and information of the past determines what and how the future generations will think. Whoever controls the information and images of the present determines how those same people will view the past. And quote from Count Leo Tolstoy, Tolstoy. take at hazard 100 children of severely educated generations and 100 educated children of the people and compare them in anything you please, strength, agility, mind, in the ability to acquire knowledge, even in morality, and in all respects, you are startled by the vast superiority on the side of the children uneducated. Right? So if you don't study and you allow yourself to be quote unquote educated, right? You allow yourself to get dumbed down if that's what that person's intention is.
Sorry, say that last part again. If your intention is what?
If you are not studying,
All right.
right?
Right.
And you want to be educated,
Mm-hmm.
you're allowing yourself to possibly be dumbed down
Oh, by
if
how-
that's the person's intention,
Right.
right? So all these groups that don't claim to have any type of allegiance to the Moorish Divine and National Movement, right? They are dumbing down people because they're telling people, come on over here because we have all this stuff for you, and here's this link, and here's this link, and here's this, and read this and take this. All that stuff is given to you. Even if you read it yourself, you didn't go find that. Somebody put that on you. And who knows why they put it on you? Because they could put it on you knowing that within this information, there's things that's going to distort your concept. Right? That's why we don't do like Malachi York and not give you references. That we tell you everywhere where the information came from, where we got it, so you could go research it yourself. Right? If you're going to show me 50 books and you don't have a bibliography in none of your books, and you want me to go with what you're saying, and I can't even verify nothing, I just have to go by, well, you know, you are who you say that you are.
Well, this that just
Right?
brings into case all the religions of the world and all the stuff that they use to sort of enslave people, right?
Exactly. Ordinary people send their children to school to get smart. But what modern schooling teaches is dumbness. It's a religious idea gone out of control. You don't have to accept that, though. To realize this kind of economy would be jeopardized by too many smart people who understand it too much. I wouldn't ask you to take that on faith. Be patient. I'll let a focused American publisher explain to you the secret of our global financial success in just a little while. Be patient. Old-fashioned dumbness used to be simple ignorance. Now it is transformed from ignorance into permanent mathematical categories of relative stupidity like gifted and talented, mainstream, special ed. Categories in which learning is rationed for the good of a system of order. Dumb people are no longer merely ignorant. Now they are indoctrinated, their minds conditioned with substantial doses of commercially prepared disinformation dispensed for tranquilizing purposes. That one was heavy. Dumb people.
Sorry, see that last.
Yeah.
Do that last one more time, please. I'm just wrapping my head around this.
Dumb people are no longer merely ignorant. Now they are indoctrinated, their minds conditioned with substantial doses of commercially prepared disinformation, dispensed for tranquilizing purposes. Jacques Ellul, E-L-L-U-L, whose book Propaganda is a reflection on the phenomenon, warned us that prosperous children are more susceptible than others to the effects of schooling because they are promised more lifelong comfort and security for yielding wholly. Critical judgment disappears altogether, for in no way can there ever be collective critical judgment. The individual can no longer judge for himself because he inescapably relates his thoughts to the entire complex of values and prejudices established by propaganda. With regard to political situations, he is given ready-made value judgments invested with power of truth by the word of experts. The new dumbness is particularly deadly to middle and upper middle class children, already made shallow by multiple pressures to conform imposed by the outside world on their usually lightly rooted parents. When they come of age, they are certain they must know something because their degrees and licenses say they do. They remain so convinced until an unexpectedly brutal divorce, a corporate downsizing in midlife, or panic attacks of meaninglessness upset the precarious balance of their incomplete humanity, their stillborn adult lives. Alan Bullock, the English historian, said evil was a state of incompetence. If true, our school adventure has filled the 20th century with evil. Hillel puts it this way: the individual has no chance to exercise his judgment, either on principal questions or on their implication. This leads to the atrophy of a faculty not comfortably exercised under the best conditions. Once personal judgment and critical faculties have disappeared or have atrophied,
Hold on. Atrophied.
Atrophied.
That's right.
Thanks. Yeah.
Atrophy.
Atrophied. Right.
Muscles start to. Sorry.
No. Thank you.
Yeah.
One personal judgment and critical faculties have disappeared or have atrophied. They will not simply reappear when propaganda is suppressed. Years of intellectual and spiritual education would be needed to restore such faculties. The propagandee, if deprived of one propaganda, will immediately adopt another. This will spare him the agony of finding himself vis-a-vis some event without a ready-made opinion.
See, when I hear this is the stuff that I truly think is going on through chemicals and through misinformation. Anyways, go on.
Now we're talking about the dumbness, right, of people to just go with stuff.
No, but you see, part of what I think, I mean, as I said, I'm glad that brother here brought me in, but part of this is where I think most of us have our problems is through the education system. What you said in that last paragraph there, that last sort of reading there was, to me, sums it all up. We've been brainwashed, and our bodies now and our minds are in such a way that it's hard for us to break out of that patterning. And if not, then we're just going to accept sort of the next sort of easiest pattern.
Exactly. Right? When there's no easier pattern than what the prophet brought. If we just go with that, we have no problems.
Right.
Like if we just go with that, we have no problems. That's why his sister was saying, use Noble Juali as your measuring stick when you're dealing with all these other groups out here, because guarantee you, your brother's gonna put your ass in slavery. Guarantee. 3,500 for nationality papers. Like if that doesn't wake you up that there's something going on, and that we need to.
This to me could go back to the talks of either agents or, in the sense, what I've noticed is that what I've seen this whole society's based on is taking natural energies and then trying to license it or tax it.
Yeah.
And that's what this is right now.
Right.
Another agent move where, it's like the marijuana now, right?
Yeah.
You
go to Colorado and go.
No, but you can go get a license now. Here too, if you're a doctor, right?
You
can get a license.
Yeah, to be a drug pusher. Yeah.
Now what we're doing is we're going to license your freedom.
Right. And I mean that's the real drug pusher, because enough of that marijuana they're making in labs. That's not nothing growing. That they're saying is the medicinal marijuana.
Yeah.
That's not nothing growing. That's a lab weed. Like Savages. Go see that movie. Saw that one this weekend.
Saw that one. But to me,
Savages was pretty crazy. A couple no names still. Salma Hayek is in there.
It's a new movie.
Yeah, it's new still. Yeah. Go bootleg. Yeah.
I got that one.
Yeah.
You know, one movie I checked out the other day was
What?
even up till now, it's like
What movie?
Cloud Atlas.
Oh, was it good?
Cloud Atlas.
Yeah.
I never heard of that movie.
It's weird. It has a big bunch of stars. Tom Hanks, Halle Berry,
Yeah,
like,
for real.
all kinds of- same. You know, we were talking about how people look like you all over the world.
Yeah.
And they're talking about even in different times.
Yeah.
That's what the basically movie is about. Like how we're connected. So, yo, it's
Oh,
crazy.
really? For real? It's just
Like,
one of those
they
ones.
They had Halle Berry as a European, but she had the same feature.
For real.
The same.
I see people like that all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
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 And Tom Hanks was crazy.
I see dark melanated people who look like
Who look like people? Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
European.
They look like heroes. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Identify like for real, yo.
So don't. We have to. Only if you.
But I
only
think
if
you
you.
see where I think the issue is. I think you're completely right with what you're saying with the prophet. I think the problem is that there's what I've found the problem being is that and I think I've talked about this before a couple of times that there's so much what do you call it imprinting done negatively
Yeah.
and so little positively
Right.
and even the little positive
Yeah.
not even the little even the most righteous positiveness is still being attacked
Right.
by all these other
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
So even
Yeah.
if you're, and I read this philosophy that says if you're off the path by even a step, you're miles off.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what it feels like here. Unless you're here in this classroom,
Right.
you got serious.
You got serious problems out there.
Even if
And-
you think you're with the MMTI,
Yeah.
whatever, you've got serious problems.
This
So what I'm
is-
saying is that when I step out of here, I got real problems. Unless I'm coming here Tuesdays and Sundays, I got real
Right.
problems.
Right. And that's the objective of us even, like coming in here. So that we can have a mind on the same frequency, everybody's thinking the
That's
same.
right.
So
It's
even if
creating an energy,
you go 500 miles,
I'll still
right.
have this energy.
right, just like, we were just talking and we said, yeah, son, and then we walk in the door.
That's right.
Just because you wasn't here,
I know.
but
That's time travel right there.
that's time travel, right? So there's, like when we were talking about, these are the 3500 guys. So watch out for these guys. New Moorish International Group. And once again, they're playing the theme,
Wow.
right, of Moors, and these are the Moors that charge 3,500 for nationality paper, right? Now, let's go to this real quick because we have to deal with all the different type of propaganda to a degree, just to show how obvious the fraud is. But if people don't study, stuff's gonna go over their head, and they're not even gonna know what the hell's going on, right? In 2003, Malachi York entered into a plea bargain that was later dismissed by the judge, and then was convicted by a jury. The judge, having rejected his desire to be returned for trial to his own tribe.
Sorry, say that last part again, sir.
The judge, having rejected his desire to be returned for trial to his own tribe. This is Malachi York during his trial.
Did what? The judge?
The judge rejected his desire to be returned for trial to his own tribe because he's indigenous. He's a Moor.
Right.
He's a Yamasee.
Right.
So you don't have jurisdiction over me.
Right.
I need to be in a court of my own peers.
That's what he's saying.
This is what he's saying.
Right.
And the judge denied that.
Ah. Okay.
Right?
Which
And
is
then-
obvious.
And then this was his statement.
Malachi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your Honor, with all due respects to your government, your nation, and your court, we, the indigenous people of this land, have our own rights. Accepted, sovereign, our own governments. We are a sovereign people. Yamasee, Native American, Creeks, Seminole, Washita Mound Builders. And all I'm asking is that the court recognize that I am an indigenous person. Your court does not have jurisdiction over me. I should be transferred to the Moorish Cherokee Council Court, in which I will get a trial by juries of my peers. I cannot get a fair trial, Your Honor, if I am being tried by settlers or the Confederates. I have to be tried by Native Americans as a Native American. That's my inalienable rights, and it's on the record.
So he's
Do
still,
they have
he's
that
still,
there in America? The native courts? The native courts? Because they have it here.
It's fraud. No, well, it's fraud. It's the Native courts are fraud, anyways.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah,
But
like I don't know if they have. I don't even know.
I don't know
I don't
what he's
even know.
asking for. Do they have that?
No. He's talking about the Cherokee Moors
Mhm.
under his jurisdiction.
So he wants to go to his own court?
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Which makes sense.
Well, yeah, I mean it's logical.
That's what he's supposed to be.
But he,
Right.
but he would be presiding over
No,
himself.
not in the sense of because he's Yamasee,
Right.
right? And
The council.
there's an indigenous council of elders or whatever,
Yeah.
right? That's where he
Try.
should.
I
That's
have
where he
one
should
question.
be.
Is he still in jail?
Yeah. He's not coming out.
Done.
I mean,
He's not coming out, right? And again, we go back to, if he's making this claim that court does not have jurisdiction over me and all this type of stuff, why does he have a lawyer for it?
he has a lawyer speaking for him?
No, he has a lawyer. He just has a lawyer,
Well, that's crazy then.
right?
Then he's giving up his rights.
Okay. So then,
He's right
But-
there. He's
but-
crazy talk.
He's
But
right
again-
right there, he's
remember the dumbness excerpt that regardless they're gonna follow. They're just gonna find the next thing and jump on that.
He said he was
Right.
always a follower. He just took this for him to.
Yo, man was an R&B singer.
What?
R&B singer. You know,
Yeah.
how you an R&B singer and you become the head of a nation. R&B singer?
I have the album. You have to bring it and show me.
Passion.
Huh?
Passion?
Dr. York.
Yeah.
Sweet boy, you white
Yeah, yo, sweet boy.
I'm gonna bring it and show it to you.
Yo, sweet boy. Sweet boy.
Prince Rock.
Right?
Prince Rock.
Right? He asserted to the court that he was a secured party and answered questions in court with the response, I accept that for value. That's patriot talk. That's sovereign citizen talk. And you already know sovereign citizens are on the Homeland Security watch list, RCMP watch list,
Considered terrorist, like.
North Carolina watch list, considered terrorists. And this person who's supposed to be, he's from another planet and all that stuff, can't even deal with mundane, you know what I mean? It's not even like the charges were legit. Like the charges were fraud and they still got you on fraud charges? Right? They still got you on fraud charges. How? How are they going to get a Yamasee Native American Seminole Washita mound builder on fraudulent charges? Because you have a lawyer. And once you have a lawyer, the lawyer obtained leave because he gave up his status as Moorish American that Noble Drew Ali told him that he is, that he put out a Circle 7 of himself. He himself put out his own Circle 7 for the Nuwapians. Not only that, the holy book of the Nuwapians, the holy tablets, have the Circle 7 in it as part of the book. But he's gonna talk about he's Seminole Native American and all that stuff when he's Moorish American. And in the Circle 7, he's talking about he's writing this book for his Moorish American brothers and sisters that are Nuwapians.
What's a Nuwapian?
Fraud. Nothing the name Nuwapian. Nothing called that. That's a fraud.
Where'd that name come from?
Fraud.
Just made it up.
Made up the name.
Nuwapians.
Because you know
Now
what?
smoking some kush.
Kebulan is made up too. That's not in any.
Made up the name.
Huh?
Kebulan is not in any document.
Hmm.
If I'm wrong, you find the document.
Well, yeah,
And you
we'll
see
look for that.
Every book gotta have footnotes. That Dr. Brent brings footnotes. It's not in no book that we know.
Right, so Brother No Shakir is just putting it out there, right? Now Valley Books, 647-802-6955. 6039. If you could find some type of historical work that claims Africa was named Alkebulan, the brother needs that book for his store. Don't forget he has a store. It's not just, somebody. He has a business. Right? So take down the number. There it is right there. 647-802-6039. And just get that information to the brother. Spiritual slavery and the prostitution of the soul.
Sure, that's high.
Huh?
Sure, that line.
Spiritual slavery and the prostitution of the soul. A dialogue with Andrew Cohen, whoever that is. Question. I'm very confused about this matter of ethical conduct and its relationship to the enlightened understanding that you speak so much about. Why is it that so many gurus seem to be prey to the very same weakness as ordinary people? I would have thought that an ego that had died would not be able to act in the same selfish way as people who did not claim to be enlightened. Andrew Cohen. Maybe in the cases that you are speaking about, the ego didn't die. Maybe in these cases, there is a full inact ego coexisting with a profound realization. Most people don't realize that ego and profound realization can coexist. It is for that reason that so many people have gotten into trouble. Coming back to man, know thyself. You don't know yourself, then ego is going to make you think you know something, and you're going to go out there, just like you're saying, talk some 500 paragraphs to somebody, and then they're going to come with one line, shut you up, and send you on your way. Right? Question. But I don't understand how, even after the failings of the guru have become obvious. Right? So that's just like Malachi York locked up right now, and there's people still repping Nuapian. That's the head. Right? Like that's the head. And they're still repping it. Like it's a legit position. Right? Even after the failings of the guru have become obvious, people still allow themselves to be taken advantage of. They often will continue to be followers in the face of unethical behavior and in some cases even gross abuse. Often when Andrew Cohen, often when a person meets a teacher in whom the absolute is manifesting to a powerful degree, their heart will open up unexpectedly. They may experience unusual insight and understanding just through mere association with this kind of extraordinary individual. After this kind of experience, it is easy to understand how one may get very attached to that individual. The bond that is formed through experience like these runs very deep. Slowly, without even realizing it, in order to protect the love and beauty of that precious event, the person starts to be willing to overlook things. The minute that begins, they become corrupt themselves.
Sorry, I was interrupted by a brother over here. Can you repeat the last part with the being? Can you soon?
That last part?
Yeah,
The last part?
with the being over.
After this kind of experience, it is easy to understand how one may get very attached to that individual. The bond that is formed through experience like this runs very deep. Slowly, without even realizing it, in order to protect the love and beauty of that precious event, the person starts to be willing to overlook things. The minute that begins, they become corrupt themselves. Is that when we start to rationalize? Yes. Then they become corrupt, in the same way the guru is. When you try to talk to the disciples of these gurus about simple virtues, they often are unable to make any sense. Also, they will frequently say things like ethical conduct and enlightenment have nothing to do with each other, in an attempt to justify the confusing behavior of their guru. The minute anybody allows themselves to tolerate corruption, they become part of it.
Right.
The minute anybody allows themselves to tolerate corruption, they become part of it.
I agree with that.
So,
sorry.
tolerating corruption. If nationality is supposed to be free,
There you go. Well, you've answered.
and you're charging for it, that's corruption. And
I just have one question.
if anybody allows it to tolerate, they're down with it.
Of course. Question being, what would be the one single thing, I think I already have the answer, that you would say could best counter what I would call this incredible amount of brainwashing, all of this sort of, the whole thing that I've encompassed as, what would be your one tool that you would think would be the best thing to counter all of that? Would that be studying the Prophet?
What, like, you know what I mean? That's the highest position of guru or enlightened being, prophet.
Studying him would be the answer.
Well, it's more studying what he brought than studying him.
Yeah. No, I know.
But study his teachings. Because in studying his teachings, you're going to be clear about
clear about your path.
Yeah, very clear. Just like you're saying, you're not going to go off the path, right? You're not going to be like certain individuals that make the claim that they're members in the temple and they're grand sheiks or whatever, but then they're talking black. Right? And saying that, oh, well, the reason I'm talking black is because I'm an inactive member. Right? If you're inactive, then that means you're passive. And Noble Ali doesn't want passive Moors.
What does that mean, inactive member?
Inactive member. It means passive.
So I know about the information, but I just don't want
Yeah, I know. I've gone through the chambers because I'm a grand sheik. But, you know, since I can't make money off this, because this is not what this position was made for, I'm gonna step back, you know what I mean, and I'm gonna start something over here and try to get all these people down with this thing over here.
Yeah. Sort of
opposed to being down with what they're supposed to be down with.
Elijah Muhammad.
Right? And the list goes on. Elijah Muhammad, Malachi York, Marcus Society, ISIS, ALF, everybody.
And so now that then, so would his teachings, would some of those things be the Holy Quran?
Holy Quran.
Circle 7?
The Circle 7.
You've given me another one, the Life in... There's a shorter one that you've given me.
Circle 7, Moorish literature.
Right.
You know, the Red Book.
Zooming of a Nation.
Zooming of a Nation. Go RV Bay website, buy all them books. Go to Alim Bay's website, buy all those books.
Right.
Go to Washita website. Right? Because remember that it's us supporting, right? We have to make sure we're putting our support in the right direction too, right? Like I can't be paying $3,500 for some papers and then you still want me to buy books and DVDs from you. Right. Like something's got to give, right? The problem is nothing's given, right? Everybody's just taking. Everybody has their hand up, but their hands are full. And they're saying, yeah, just pile it on, don't worry, I'll carry it. But your hands are full. Right? And nobody wants to put down what they picked up. Because everybody's stuck on, well, you know, if the temple is negative, I'm gonna have to start my own thing, you know, because I can't work with the temple. Yeah, but like we're saying at the beginning, there's 50 temples. Out of 50 temples, there must be one you could work with. Can't tell me there's not one.
Oh, but also I think isn't it important to know or to make sure that you're not with a fraudulent temple, so to speak, right?
And that's where it comes with studying what the Prophet brought. But if you study what the Prophet brought, you'll be very clear. You'll be clear. Before you go in the door, you'll know whether that's somewhere you should be going into or not. Right? It'll be very, very clear. Right? Woodrow Wilson, 1919 quote. I am a most unhappy man. I have unwittingly ruined my country. A great industrial nation is now controlled by its system of credit. We are no longer a government by free opinion, no longer a government by conviction and the vote of the majority, but a government by the opinion and duress of a small group of dominant men.
When was this? What year?
1919,
Wow.
right? 1919,
Drew died in 1929.
29.
Wow.
So a lot of people recognize that the Moors weren't costuming. Some Moors weren't just going to the Moors costume ball in the Moorish attire. Some Moors, that's every day. It's not a costume for us. This is not a, it's like I was speaking with one of the emirs, one of the Moors, right? In New York. Saying every day, all day, Fez is up. Because it's my culture, this is who I am, and nobody can't tell me I can't do that. Why? Why would I not want to be myself? Right? So there's degrees, there's levels, right? Just like Brother Noshir was saying with the fraud, there's layers of lies, right? That we're trying to get ourselves out of. But we can't get ourselves out of it because our own is running a fraud.
Yeah.
Right? Our own is trying to get.
These are either the greedy or the infiltrators.
Right. The traders, the greedy ones, the people who
vampires.
The vampires, right? Who just want to suck off people and don't want to do their job. Because this is a job that we do. Right? Like this is, honors to, Shikas Tikael. Right? Because, she like lets me be Grand Sheik. Because she's trying. It's not just, cakewalk. This is not be NAACP head or UNIA head. You know what I mean? Like this is real. You know what I mean? And activity is a standard. Activity is what we have to be active. We can't be passive Moors. We can't be passive. Passive is not an option, especially now that things like this is going on. Right? This is now people could say whatever they want to say. Right? But believe me, Moors in Canaanland are active. And because Moors in Canaanland are active, the forces, the pseudo forces, right? The so-called private security guards are changing things in order to benefit the people, right? So this is fresh off the press today, right? The police's answer to racial profiling: hand out receipts. Well, let's find out. Chief Blair wants officers to give record of interaction to people involved in non-criminal encounters. Toronto police stop up to 400,000 people every year during non-criminal encounters, asking them where they're going, recording their name, address, and the names of the people they're with. The practice has been denounced by community activists who say it leads to racist policing, and by social justice lawyers who want it stopped. Now, Police Chief Bill Blair is calling on officers to hand out a record of that interaction to the person's involvement in these encounters. This move comes after months of pressure from both police board and community members after the Star ran Known to Police in March, a series that showed police stop, question, and document young black and brown men at a disproportionate rate. Blair will table a report at Wednesday's police board meeting that says the receipts will be fully available for use in December. Statistics on street checks, formerly called carding, will be reported to the board every 3 months, Blair's report says. So they're taking the position that there's been so much people that get stopped for no reason that they want to give people receipts when they get stopped so that they can stockpile their interaction, keep record of this non-criminal behavior, because there's a pattern in this jurisdiction where, you know, if you wear a sweater, you fit the description. If you wear jeans, you fit the description. If you walk in on a certain street, you fit the description. And they have special cards called 208 cards. Yeah, 208 cards that they have to fill out when they interact with you so they can keep a database. Right? And so many of those, you know, because of the work that I do, like I know, so many of those things that they filled out were of innocent people just going home from school, standing on their porch, whatever, that, you know, the community people are saying, oh, racial profiling, right? You know, playing the victim position,
pushing the racist agenda.
right? The pushing that racist agenda, right? And they're trying to dead the racist agenda. Really. Like, this is the first time that the police chief is coming up with a plan to deal with so-called racial profiling that they've been complaining about in Toronto forever. Forever they're complaining about, oh yeah, police abuse their authority and we don't have any proof that they stopped us. And when we call the superintendent, you know, he doesn't know that's not an officer from his because they switch people so much. Okay, now they're starting to give receipts so that there's proof of these encounters, right? The people should have been doing that on their own and stockpiling all the, you know, but slaves need stuff done for them. So police chief stepping in and he's saying, yo, he's trying to tell you, he's telling you, be self-governing. Putting it on the people. We're going to start, you know, make sure you get a receipt from these guys. Because I'm telling you, they're gonna profile you. You know, 400,000 people every year have non-criminal encounters.
Business.
Business.
You're getting a receipt for it now.
But now you're getting a receipt for it. Right? And again, you know, you're getting a receipt for it. When you buy something, you get a receipt.
Well, they're just, I think, in a sense, too, trying to legitimize what they're doing, too, right? Maybe?
Make themselves clean. You know? It's like when the organization puts out a new pamphlet, you know, we're still here. Yeah. We're just cleaning up, you know, we got orange now, you know, royal blue, you know, before it was just brown and red. Now we got orange, brown, blue. Letters are a little, you know, swirly now. They're setting up their play. You know, because I guarantee you that all these people that they hand out receipts to, right, for this interaction, the people that have the receipts, they're gonna have some type of identification that says they're a corporate person. Right? But we know, as you know, as far as Moors out here are concerned, you know, we talk to them. It's not an issue for us to interact with these peace officers, because again, man, know thyself. And when you know yourself, that is a frequency that they know they're not really gonna, they're not gonna mess with it. They will if you get the
So
one
this is,
guy
as you
who
say, this is just
You know what I mean?
another smoke screen.
just a screen, right? Just a
They're
screen.
They're still
They're still gonna continue
They're
their
still talking about their property.
right, Emancipation Proclamation. We're not gonna free you, but we'll give the guys of freedom. We'll give the guys that we're being responsible. But they're still not gonna give you their bond number when you ask them for it.
That's what they have to have on them, right? The bond.
They should, and if they don't, they're obviously not protected.
Bonded.
They're not bonded. Yeah. If they're not protected, then why do you have a gun?
This is outlaw business, basically, right?
Basically, but I mean, you know what the outlaws do. They're gonna do their outlawry. Right? So, Moors, don't be Moorish costume ball Moors. This is reality. This is not a gig that we're just gonna dress up for, and then tomorrow we go back to the nigger state. We're active in the costume ball. Fezzes on, and we got the pantaloons, and you know what I mean. But when it comes to the real world now, all that stuff comes off, and we now go back to that dead state. And then once a year, we go and try to get some costumes, some Moorish costumes, right? When that's supposed to be regular. Like, what was that for? That was to get us in the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers. Dress the part. Be like them. Right? Noble Drew Ali said, everything I say is spirit. So if he says, well, yeah, I just wanted to have this costume ball, so the Moors could have something, and that's it. Noble Drew Ali promoting parties now? What are you talking about? Why is he promoting a party? Well, he's a prophet. Tell Moors, get up and go to the club. Just dress like Moors and have your own club. That's really what the message is? Or is he saying something? Is he going beyond the obvious?
Mm-hmm.
He already told you don't go in the alley with your fezzes. Don't go in the alley with your fez.
Why? What was that?
Because stuff goes on in the alley that you don't want to be involved in with your fez on. Because you make the nation look bad.
Yeah.
Why are you in the alley in the first place?
Yeah.
You know what goes on in the alley already. You know what I mean? But because Moors didn't listen to that, because Moors wanted to hang out in the alley, that's when he started saying, okay, well, carry your fez to the temple. Because you obviously want to be up in the alley.
Mm-hmm.
You obviously want to be doing madness out here. So, okay, fine. Carry your fez to the temple. Because y'all ain't ready to really exercise this in its full capacity.
And where was that from? What readings were there?
That's in the Moorish literature. Yeah. He lays it all out. Right?
Wait.
There was this picture that I seen online. I have to get. Yeah, I didn't find somebody who speaks French to decipher this yet, and I really didn't want to type it all out. But this is just a picture of a Moor with a scimitar cutting off a Frenchman's ear. But we're gonna have to get this deciphered, right? It was on a French website, and it's in French. But I don't speak French, so we'll get this deciphered for next week, so we know what that is. And lastly, to close out,
Who don't hear must feel.
who don't hear must feel, huh? Say that's the what? That's the
What that
message.
is.
Let's see.
Who don't hear must feel. That's the realest
Right.
picture for that.
The realest picture. We'll see. We're gonna see if that's legit. Right?
Imagine that's what it
Yeah.
says.
You know what I mean? Who don't hear must feel. Right? That's the lesson for today. Who don't hear must feel. Right? And to close out, because we're dealing with the theme of Noble Drew Ali and making sure that the people take Noble Drew Ali serious. I don't care what these Moors say. I don't care what Taj says. I don't care what Pleasant Bay says. I don't care what Aline says. You go study Noble Drew Ali for yourself, so you can have Noble Drew Ali in your mind and in your heart for yourself. Forget what other people say about Noble Drew Ali, right? You do it. You go do the research, right? And this was a picture that I just posted online. Somebody posted a Mexican sister, right? And the Mexican sister was wearing the same hat as the Prophet.
It's basically a sombrero.
Right? Sombrero. Right? Just to show that it's not, Noble Drew Ali is not a crazy man.
He knew himself.
He knew himself. He knew himself on degrees that we wish we knew ourselves. Right?
He's claiming reclaiming.
Reclaiming everything. Right? And what's that called? Being active, not passive. We'll close out prayer. Islam Moors, give thanks. We had 8 online tonight again. Hold it up and stay strong, Moors. Stay active, not passive. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth.
Truth.
Peace.
Peace.
Freedom.
Freedom.
And justice.
And justice.
Allah is our protector.
Allah is our protector.
Our guide.
Our guide.
And our salvation.
And our salvation.
By night.
By night.
And by day.
And by day.
Through His and Her Holy Prophet.
Through His and Her Holy Prophet.
Noble Drew Ali.
Noble Drew Ali.
Islam.
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 Peace, Moors. Hotep.